Fox 45 News learned 4 employees were fired in the last week, and this morning to delve a bit deeper into the shakeups, we've got Towson Rhetoric Professor Emeritus Richard Vatz. Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Generally well.
Well, let's talk about this here. So Andy Freeman, now former vice president of a city-funded development corporation, he's among those fired this past week, and you just heard from his attorney, claiming it was all politically motivated. But without a response from the mayor's office, how do we know this isn't just a disgruntled employee? How do we look at this?
Well, there should be a response from the mayor, and it is not just he. There are also 3 others, including Margot Bruno Settles, who won the Supervisor of the Year and was honored by the mayor, and she's fired. So I mean, this is really a heavy-handed kind of reaction by an insecure politician. And you know, I wrote an op-ed some months ago about Ivan Bates and his leadership style, and he's kind of has a democratic style. And Brandon Scott has the opposite. He has an autocratic style. So Brandon Scott doesn't feel any need to tell people about problems that he's having with them. He just fires them. And if they don't like it, too bad. Whereas Ivan Bates is open. He's a good discussant. He's fair. He's open to different stations to talk to him.
Right.
So this is just the style of Brandon Scott.
Well, to your point about getting comment from the mayor's office, it's not customary, to my understanding, maybe you know something different, for them to comment on exits from city-held positions. But when you look back at the Democratic mayoral primary, Freeman's attorney says this all goes back to that, and they're not immediately siding with Scott during his attempt to get the primary, which he now has. Is it not within his rights to make that decision, or is this an overreach of the office?
Well, he has a right to make the decision, but he's got to give public employees due process, which means he's got to provide evidence for the termination. He's got to give them a hearing. He doesn't feel the need to do this. And to be honest, if he does this, he won't lack reasons to fire anybody. I mean, anytime you're looking for a reason to fire an employee, you can find it. So the due process may be a legitimate claim, but it's not going to reverse the decisions. And this just seems like a really irresponsible kind of decision by a mayor who doesn't feel beholden to anybody. This is what happens when you have a one political party town. And when you don't have any competition, you can do this sort of stuff without fear of any kind of consequences.
Do you see a position in which, you know, because these firings range from the fire department's operations manager, we got Baltimore's HR chief, so they run the gamut here. Do you think the mayor's office owes us a response for this dismissals? I think I know what you're going to say here, but if so, what does that statement need to entail?
It does. And you also need to give notice to an employee, especially ahead of time if he or she is not doing a good job. That's the fair thing to do. But Brandon Scott he doesn't always manifest his arrogance, but he is an arrogant leader, and he doesn't feel the need to do this. And so what he's saying essentially is, I've done this, they're gone, what are you going to do? If you make me provide due process, we'll go through that. But that is just kind of a drama, and it's not going to save any of their jobs. So it's really outrageous. And I think Sheila Dixon, when she says she doesn't do this sort of stuff, I think that's accurate. She doesn't have that kind of style as he does.
And I'm going to leave it right there, Professor Vatz, for getting the wrap here. But certainly an interesting conversation about leadership and those dismissals. We'll continue to follow it. Thank you.
Thank you.